Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Lakeisha Woods from Enjoy Life Magazine, and I'm on the line today with Darlene Clark. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So, I'm very excited about this movement you have going on, Fortress of Hope, Psalms 18. Is that correct?
Yes,
So,
that is
please,
correct.
great. Please tell us all about what you're doing with your nonprofit organization and how it got started.
Well, Forces of Hope, Psalms 18, is a nonprofit organization located in Miami, Florida, and we're committed to helping the victims and survivors of physical and sexual child abuse. And how we got started, how I got started is pretty much this whole organization is a testament to my testimony and what I've experienced as a child. Being a victim of sexual child abuse has affected my life in many ways. And the reason, how I got started is, wow, I don't even know where to start, but it was pretty much inspired by God, this whole movement, to allow me to be a beacon of hope to those who have been affected by abuse. Can I just share a bit of my testimony, if you don't mind?
You sure can.
Okay, so being a victim of sexual abuse in my household, I wasn't allowed to talk about what happened to me without being reprimanded. And it was done by an in-law. And because of that, our family, we pretty much kept it within the family. It wasn't allowed to go outside of our household. And it was swept under the rug. And as a result of it being swept under the rug, the abuse continued. And I had to pretty much keep, this a secret. And as a child, having to keep this thing a secret and having to bottle up all of my emotions, it really took a toll on me. But I found an outlet, and that was my music. And music pretty much, it helped me cope. It helped me cope, and that was a way for me to release all the pain and the anger that I had inside. And once I realized that I had the gift of music, of singing, I told myself that I would use that as a tool, as a way to tell my story. And little did I know that years later, that God would use that God would use other avenues to allow me to do so. And that's how Fortress of Hope Psalms 18 was birthed. I always wanted to help other victims like myself to overcome. And that's pretty much how it all got started, with just the desire to see others be set free from this.
Wow. That definitely is a testimony right there. What, if you don't mind telling us, what direction did you take or seek to get help and to get out of your personal situation? Because I know before you were even able to launch this type of nonprofit organization, there had to come a point in your life where you realized that the abuse affected you in some type of way. And as we know, it's really hard to help anyone else if we haven't helped or healed ourselves. So how did you, and move forward to get to a place of healing so that now you're able to help others and inspire others? What did you do? And I'm asking you to tell us that because there might be someone out here listening that may not know what steps to take in order to come out of hiding or suppressing the things that they've been experiencing because of the, whether it's been domestic abuse, physical, some sort of physical abuse, or past or present child abuse.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, as I said, when I told about my abuse, because it was an in-law, it was swept under the rug, and nothing was done about it. I didn't receive any therapy or anything like that, and I was very vague in explaining earlier before. I guess I was so nervous, but music was a way for me to cope, but it didn't heal me.
Okay.
And that was just something that I had to fall back on, like, to help me with the emotions, but it didn't heal me completely. And when the abuse happened when I was about between 5 or 7 years old, I can't remember, but I was very young. And as I grew up, I dabbled into drugs, alcohol, and I was even suicidal at one point. So it took an effect on me, and as statistics shows that many victims of sexual child abuse, if they don't receive help, actually there was a research conducted where it says that victims who receive help immediately are more likely to heal or recover quicker than those who have never received help at all. So I fell in the category of the victim who never received help. So growing up, as I said, I was very suicidal, and and that was a way, that was me crying out for help, and I never received that. And but I ended up giving my life to Jesus Christ and realizing that I am broken, that this thing has really affected my life, and I found my healing through my faith in Jesus Christ. And just, there's a scripture that says, come to me, all who are weary and heavy burden, and I will give you rest. And that's exactly what I found. I found rest. I recovered from my drug addiction. I got delivered from suicidal thoughts. Ever since I gave my life to Jesus Christ, it's like my life completely transformed, even my mind. I even got to a point where I was able to forgive my abuser. And that's how you know the power of God, because, of course, I was always angry and bitter towards him, and I never thought that I would be able to get to a place in my life where I'm able to forgive. I never thought that I would get to a place in my life where I'm even able to talk about my experiences without breaking down. And that's how I know that God has completely set me free, because it's been, I believe it's been 10 years since I've been clean and sober. It's been 8 years since I tried to commit suicide. So God has really completely done a transformation in my life, and that's how I was able to heal. For others, they may find their healing in therapy, or, I'm not knocking that, but I know for me that I'm a living testimony that Jesus Christ can set you free. You don't have to be a victim all of your life. You can go from victim to victorious. You can overcome this through the power of Jesus Christ. So my organization is really faith-based, but we also implement, strategies, of cognitive thinking to help you, overcome this. And we also refer you to a therapist. I'm not knocking therapy at all, but one thing that I do preach about is the power of Jesus Christ, how he is able to set you free.
Okay. So, which brings me to another question about the organization. I read that you have various workshops that are available through the organization. Could you tell us about some of those workshops that you have going on, and are there different types of support groups within the organization?
Yes. We have our Calling All Survivors support group for victims and survivors, and we have different workshops. We have workshops for children and families where they can come in and where we would teach them, we'll teach parents how to approach the situation, how to teach their children to be safe and to protect themselves. And, we'll do role play, with the children and their parents, to make it comfortable for them to be able to talk about these issues, because we know that it's a very sensitive topic, and there's certain ways for you to approach the situation, these topics. So we do that. We have that workshop for children and family, and we also have the workshop for the survivors. And what we do in these workshops is where we work on self-esteem building, empowerment, and where we also give strategies on how to overcome triggers. Because victims of sexual child abuse, most of us suffer from PTSD, and one of those is triggers. A lot of victims have triggers and flashbacks, and what that does, sometimes it re-victimizes you, and we want to teach them how to overcome those triggers. And that's pretty much what we do in those workshops. So it's self-esteem building, overcoming triggers, and just empowering them to. And one thing we do in these workshops, we empower the survivors to tell their stories, because there's healing in that. There's healing in telling your story and being able to help someone else. So.
Right. Well, that's awesome. That's amazing. It is that's an amazing ministry in itself. Aside from it being a nonprofit organization, it's definitely a ministry of healing and restoration. What I wanted to know, though, is, do you all have any licensed clinical therapists, or what is the professional background associated with the organization? Are there any trained therapists within the organization, or do you have people come in? Do you outsource those people to come in and help?
Yes, we've actually partnered up with different organizations, and the different organizations that we've partnered up with, they will come in and train, and they also have professional therapists and different resources that can further assist these victims.
Okay. And it's by it being a nonprofit organization, are all of the services free, or do the clients have to have some sort of insurance, health insurance, to come and participate or to get help?
most of our events are absolutely free. Our support group, absolutely free. Our workshops, absolutely free, because we, our whole purpose is to raise awareness in the community and prevent these things from happening. So yes, they're absolutely free. And we do have certain events where we will try to raise awareness. Try to raise money to fund our organization, because we are not officially a 501c3 yet. But God willing, this time this year we will be. We're working on that. So we want to be able to receive grants so that we can carry out our mission. But yes, to answer your question, no, they do not need any health insurance or anything like that. It's absolutely free. Our research is absolutely free.
All right. And do you have a physical location yet, or do you just host the workshops at different locations, and the support groups at different locations?
Yes, we host them at different locations, and we're praying that one day we will have our own facility.
Okay.
We're just starting off, but yes.
And how could the public follow the organization? Where can we find you online or on social media?
Yes, they can follow us on our fan page, which is Fortress of Hope Psalms 18. They can also follow us on our website, which is www.fortressofhopepsalms18.com. Right now, our website is currently under construction, but it should be available to the public by before next year.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome. Now, if you could recall, since you've been established and hosting support groups and different workshops, can you recall one of the most inspiring moments that you have had with a client that has come through to receive support or help? What would you say has been your most memorable or inspiring moment?
Wow, there's been many, but one thing that I can say that really inspired me and motivated me to keep pushing this movement is our very first support group meeting. One of the survivors gave her life to Jesus Christ, and that was a pivotal moment for me, because I realized that God was a force behind this organization. Because the very first the very first hour of that meeting, people, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. People opened up immediately and shared their story, and that is what we were hoping for, that people would open up, because it's a very sensitive topic, and a lot of these victims that come in have never shared their story with anyone. So for them to open up immediately, at our first meeting, it was a very, very inspiring thing for me to see, and it motivated me to keep going.
Wow. So you notice that it's hard for people to tell their story. So I can only imagine how it must be for you to have to tell your story over and over again. Hosting support groups and different workshops. Do you ever find yourself feeling like you're lost for words, or feeling like I can't tell this story again? Like I just don't want to tell this story one more time.
Actually, I have gotten to a place in my life now where it doesn't affect me anymore. If anything, it affects me to hear other people's story, because I understand what they're going through. So as I said before, previously, I used to break down every time I tell my story, but now that God has healed me and completely set me free. He has given me the strength and the power to be able to talk about it, and it doesn't affect me anymore. So, no, it doesn't affect me when I talk about having to talk about it over and over again. In fact, I find that each time I share my story, each time I have more strength. It gives me more strength because I know that I'm encouraging someone and I'm inspiring someone to live out loud and live victoriously.
Okay. That's great. So you allow your story to basically be it sounds like it's a door opener for others to give them the courage to begin to open up and talk about the things that have happened to them. So,
yeah.
wow.
Yes, just to be a beacon of hope to them. And when God gave me this vision, He showed me. He said to me, He said, my testimony will not only help others overcome, but they will begin to heal as they share their story as well.
Wow.
You know? So, yeah, it's just pretty much to be a beacon of hope to them to speak up, because there's so much guilt and shame and that goes behind this thing, and I want people to be free from that, because the guilt and the shame and that burden was never yours to carry.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, yeah, I just want people to be free to talk about what happened to them without feeling ashamed about it.
Right. Wow.
You know?
Now today, I know you serve as a youth and worship leader in the church. Of course, you're the founder and you are the CEO of Fortress of Hope, Psalm 18. But what are you doing aside from that? Have you totally put down music, or are you ever going to go back into the music industry?
Wow. You know, I always thought that singing, you know, I always thought that singing and music, that was my purpose. You know, that was my whole mission, is to sing and bring healing to the world. But I realized that sometimes what we think is our purpose is not what God intended for us to do. And sometimes our purpose is very deep within us, deep inside of us. And for me, that is my survivor story. Mm-hmm. And helping others overcome what I've experienced. So wow, I still sing, you know, I still sing because that is a passion of mine. But that's not my purpose. My purpose is to bring healing to those who are wounded and affected. And God also uses music as an avenue to do that as well. But to say that I would pursue a music career again, no. But if later down the line, if that's the direction God wants to take me, then as He leads, I will follow.
That's understandable. Mm-hmm. Now, you are also a mother, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 children?
Yes, I have 5 children.
Okay.
3 that are biologically mine, and 2 through marriage.
And being a mother who was also a victim of child abuse, has that made you an overprotective mother?
Oh, yeah. Yes, And I'm also learning how to trust God, to protect them because, as mothers, we try to protect our children and cover and just be so overly protective. And I'm learning how to just allow God to trust God, in that situation. But yeah, it has taught me to teach my children about their body parts and how to prevent it from happening. Research shows that, as you teach your children about their body parts at an early age, it gives them a sense of awareness. And that's what I've done. I've taught my children about their body parts, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. So my children, they're very aware, and they love this movement. Even now, they want to be a part of everything that I'm doing with Fortress of Hope. So I hope that I will leave behind this legacy and that they will carry this mission out.
Wow.
But yeah, they're very involved. They're very aware about the risk of child abuse, and yeah, I've taught them at an early age. Yeah.
Now, is there any damage that a mother could possibly do to her child by being so overprotective because of her past experiences? Because I've talked to a lot of women who have been either physically abused by a spouse or have experienced some form of domestic violence or child abuse, and then when they become parents, or if they are already parents, they become overprotective of their children, overbearing. And I've heard both mother and child say things to the effect of the mother becomes so overbearing to the point that the children can't bear to be around the mother. So what type of advice would you give to mothers out there who are listening, who may have been, experienced some trauma in their life due to domestic violence or child abuse, or sexual abuse as a child? What kind of advice would you give them as parenting advice?
Most parents that I find that are like that have never really healed from their experience, and have probably never even talked to their children about it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they would, and because of that, they'll be so overbearing to the point that it's unbearable, and their children are confused as to why they're like that. So the first advice I would give is to talk to your children. Mm-hmm. You may not have to explain in graphic details of what happened to you, but there's a way that you can tell them your story without being too, graphic about it. And then they'll begin to understand why you're that way. And in doing so, you can also lighten up just a little bit. But one advice that I would give is for those parents to talk to your children about their body parts. Make them aware of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. You teach them these things, and then you will, once they're aware, then you can, lighten up just a little bit, and you don't have to be so overbearing, because now that you know that they're aware, they know what to do if a situation like that were to occur,
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be able to detect a predator. There's ways to detect a predator, and we teach that at our workshops as well. Mm-hmm. How to detect it. We teach parents how to talk about sexual abuse, how to prevent it. Mm-hmm. Once you know these things, then it will eliminate that fear. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I would tell parents, tell your story, open up about your story, and break the cycle of abuse. Mm-hmm. Sometimes and a lot of times I do notice that parents that are like that, because, okay, 96% of victims know their abuser.
Mm-hmm.
50% are acquaintances or friends of the family. 20% are fathers, 16% are relatives, and 4% are strangers.
Wow.
So the reason that they're like that, I mean, look at that statistic.
Right.
96% know the victim. So I understand why parents are like that, but once you teach your children about their body parts, about, how to detect it, how to detect the predator, then you can eliminate that fear. And that's a way to break the cycle too.
Wow. Wow. And speaking of workshops again, could you tell us what upcoming workshops the organization has for the upcoming year, or any events that you have planned for the upcoming year?
Yes, we just wrapped up with our last workshop for this year, which was in November, and that was the Calling Our Survivors Family and Friends workshop. So for next year, we have some things lined up. I haven't come up with the date yet, but those will be posted on our fan page and on our website. But yes, we do have, our next workshop will be for teenagers between the ages of 13 through 18. Well, we are partnering up with Christie's House organization, and where we will be doing a presentation and just teaching the children about awareness and prevention. So that should be the beginning of next year, but I haven't finalized the date yet. But that's something to look forward to.
Okay.
And it's absolutely free.
That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. And again, if you don't mind mentioning the name of your Facebook page so that they can find you, do you have a URL associated with the Facebook page?
It's Fortress of Hope Psalms 18, which is our fan page on Facebook. URL? No, I don't know much about that. No.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure if they just put it in the search box, they'll be able to find it.
Find it, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and we also have our spring brunch that is coming up of May of next year, May 27th. Our Beauty for Ashes spring brunch, and that did I say the date? May 27th. And that will be in Fort Lauderdale area. So we are selling tickets for that, and we're trying to raise money to fund the organization and to help the victims of sexual child abuse.
Okay. All right. And what type of help, as far as when you say you're going to raise money to help them, do you help them get out of particular situations, like with transitioning out of homes that that they may be living in and in danger or are being abused in? What do your resources, your financial resources, actually do for the victims or your clients?
Well, what we do is we have resources that are able to help them in that situation with victims that are currently experiencing sexual child abuse. We will send them to one of the organizations that we partnered up with, and they will be able to further assist them, the victims that are currently experiencing it. But one way is that to fund our program is by creating more support groups, and allowing us to bring in like counselors or psychiatrists to further help assist them.
Okay, that's great.